Hello, John.
Hello, Oliver.
So today we're going to talk about this is basically an update on your trying to get funds for Christian TV Ireland. You've been travelling around for February 2022, and you're going to give us an update now and tell us all about it.
That's right. I did. And February, it was a funny month weather-wise. There was some very terrible storms which I encountered. But in spite of that, I did a fair amount of planting the seed of the Christian TV Ireland project that we're involved in. And I'm fundamentally the one and the videos help as well. So I visited many churches and presbyteries and parish offices in parts of Munster, parts of Connacht, and parts of Leicester. Believe it or not, I covered quite a bit of ground and planted the seed and got, generally speaking, a fair reception in most places. Now, one of the things that I have to say that I was coming around and that I found, especially in larger towns, some of the churches seem to be closed quite early. And I inquired about that then from the parish officers, we'd say the following day, if I was staying in the town. And Clonmel was one, for example, but there was others here and there. And some of the churches was closed early, and I inquired as to why that people need to pay a visit. Usually churches used to be open at about 8 or 9, summer and winter, so that people could go in and venerate the Blessed Sacrament and the altar and that, and say a few prayers and that, and maybe the Stations of the Cross and that type of thing. But they said that they were closed because of vandalism. Now, and I said, what sort of vandalism? That seems very strange. Well, vandalism from the point of view of trying to steal out of church boxes or whatever it is.
The poor boxes.
Yeah, the poor, but they're locked. They're not so easy to get, but they're bringing in instruments that actually cause more harm than good for the sake of a small amount of cash. And so that's why some of these churches are crowded, because you see the drug problem is prevalent in many towns in this country now. Something that I didn't know that much about, to be honest, but I've come across it, and so people they have to do that, because we do know that there's not many young people are going to church nowadays. So that means that they're engaged in other activities other than developing their spiritual life and their Catholic life, and they obviously think that they're going to live forever, because if you don't do these things, you're bound for the widest road that leads to perdition, which means hell. We don't, bishops and spokespeople for the Catholic faith are not speaking about these things regular enough. But funny enough, in parts of the country they are. And there is, I come across in many churches, exposition of the Blessed Sacrament during the day and taking place 7 days a week in the main body of the church. And people are availing of that. And sometimes younger people, when I say younger people, I'm talking about ones in their 20s, 30s, men and women of that age group. So that's a good thing. And but what I also noticed, regretfully, and we've commented on this before, the shortage of priests. There's one parish, it was a Polish priest, and they said he was lovely, in a church that was a beautiful church. And I was talking to the sacristy there, and I did the usual. And and funny enough, it was in the it was in the afternoon when normally there wouldn't be somebody like that there, but there was some delivery of the Holy Eucharist and stuff like that from some van that would have been collecting probably from convents or something, and that they were there for that, and so I had a chat with them, and this is what they told me. I said, "Is the priest anywhere about, and where's he from?" And then they said, "Oh, he was Polish and he was lovely." So that was one church, and it wouldn't be an area that I would have thought there would have been a lot of Polish people. But there again, he's from Poland, and I think it was, and this was an ordinary parish church in a small enough town. But the fact is, then other places they were closed during the day. Now, not too many, but there was churches closed, and I was sorry to see that, because then the people that's living in those areas, how are they able to sort of, I mean, you want to visit a church when you're retired more regularly than maybe when you're working. And women that are living at home with children perhaps often maybe like to visit a church as well, but the young child lights a candle, because I've seen that. And of course, with the COVID, it has interfered with the people going to church. And I've been in some churches where they were allowed to not have the restrictions, but some of them still have it. And not alone restrictions. I've been in some churches in major towns, including a cathedral. And there was divisions down the whole lot. There wouldn't be a seat that you could get into. Mm-hmm. Now, what the idea that was, I do not know. But these are things that are very regrettable in my view, and that I think I also then talking to people as well, because I talk to parishioners that I meet, that the fact that there's such a lack of emphasis on the sacramental confession, they really believe that it should be promoted much more vigorously than it is, so that people can avail of that marvellous sacrament, which is a great gift in the Catholic faith. So that's one thing, and I noticed in many parishes there's no confessions, and I also noticed in many of their literature, like that, about local things that's happening, a lot of them don't mention the name of the church. They might have to put it, but they don't say this is, they would say whatever parish it would be St. Bridget's or St. Philomena's or the Immaculate Conception or the Sacred Heart, or all these various names, and after saints and all the rest of it. Saint in Mullingar, or no, Ennis, St. Flannan's is fairly popular in churches, because that was a patron saint down that neck of the woods. And so these are just observations and comments of people. So, and then also what I did hear as well in my travels in February, more so than I think other times, was this business of a synod. Kind of, some people seem to be surprised, quite frankly, that the bishop saw fit to have a synod. I mean, it's obvious.
What's a synod?
A synod is to sort of see what the laity say that needs to be done. Mm. Well, now, the laity knows full well what needs to be done. That means a sacramental confession to be available in every church, which is not. You have to make appointments or requests and that, and that's not what people like to do. They like to go into the confession box and have a bit of anonymity, do you know, because they might want to be confessed and they don't want the person looking at them. Yeah. They want the usual, which was the way it was. So that was a major complaint now, I have to say. And the business of the synod, which apparently in this country is going to last 5 years. Now, I can't understand why it should last 5 years, because there's confusion is, who are they going to be listening to? Is the secular world? Is it the ones that, what have you? Like in Germany, they seem to be gone crazy as regards the synod, what they're coming up with. So they think that surely to God they should know what needs to be done. The churches are practically empty between COVID and the lack of young people and people that are being baptised in First Holy Communion, confirmation, no longer in the church, going to Mass. Well, their souls at grave risk, and they should be preaching about this, according to what people told me. Mm-hmm. So I listen to people and I says, how do you find things? That's the usual way I go about these things. And I'm talking, and then I'm introducing myself, and that's a good idea, and all the rest of it. And then I say, is that that you would like to see? And that's how I do it.
Okay.
I don't be rushing around. So I'm planting the seed. Now, that's all I can do, and it'll come to fruition when God decides. I'm planting the seed, and if there's enough results, and I hope then to contact people as well, because I did say to people to contact people that are Catholics and might like to subscribe larger amounts, wealthy people, people that have more wealth than the need for their own particular requirements.
Very good. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you very much, Oliver.